got them all going in.
Oh,
They couldn't afford to computer. But the DVD, which I did.
Too close. I got this cute little camera. It's $20 for this camera. It does time-lapse photography. And I set it up. I thought it'd be really cool because everybody sees the train display over there, but not too many people get to see it being built. So I captured that, and I think the Railroad Club is probably going to put it on their website if we can. But it was shooting a picture every 3 seconds and playing it back at 30 pictures per second. So what is that? 90 seconds per second. The whole 8 hours takes about 6.5 minutes. We won't go through the whole thing again, but I just thought it was really cool. It's actually a security camera. I bought a couple of them for the house, but it has this time-lapse photography feature too. I don't know. Just thought you'd get a kick out of seeing it. Okay, here's Dave.
well, we learned a little bit more about Ken's house. It's protected with security cameras. Well, good morning and welcome to our December meeting. And as always, I provide you with a little bit of trivia. And December is Health Awareness Month, Safe Toys and Gifts Month, National Influenza Vaccine Month, so you need to get your shot. And National Hand Washing Awareness Week starts on Monday. So I guess we need to clean up our act, right? All things on the internet. The agenda today is our financial report, membership report, computer club matters, training and community matters, as well as our presentation, which is not legible. You'll find that out at the end. With regard to our financial situation, we have total cash on hand of about $14,354. And Grafton Township, before today, we have contributed $1931. Thank you very much. Today, we should well exceed our 2,000. As to computer club matters, this is again an alert that our January meeting will be on the 13th, and it looks like a lot of people responded to that a month early, because we're a little bit light this morning. Either that or there's been a lot of elf work out shopping. The lab will be closed from the 23rd through the 1st. We'll be open again on the 2nd, which is a Tuesday. And there will be no classes scheduled in January at this point, but as I'll mention a little later, that Ralph is working on that. Ralph's not here today, but he's working on some classes that will fill in a couple of places in January, and then we'll resume our normal schedule in February. And as a follow-up to our meeting last month with regard to secure banking and those kinds of things, just be careful using your debit and credit cards on electronic purchases and in retail stores, on the computer or on retail stores. So just be careful with that as you move forward. Our member count at this point is 1538, and we continue to grow members for a lot of reasons. Some because their neighbors insist on new residents joining the computer club. I thank you for that. Others have a problem with their computer and come in and join. At this point, I will bring Jim Nelson up to say a few words about our new newsletter approach.
Thank you. For the last 6 months or so, we've been experimenting with using the community as our source for distributing our newsletter as opposed to using Constant Contact. We've had, over the years, we've had good success, but we also have now the opportunity to provide it from our community directly to all of the information that is already maintained here in the books. So for the folks that may not be receiving the newsletter today because of its transposition or transfer through another outside source, we should overcome some of that. And everybody here, almost everybody, should receive it if your information is up to date with the community and we don't get any kickbacks on it. The format will be virtually identical. What am I supposed to do here, Frank?
Okay.
I think you.
Pardon?
Push the button.
Oh, you did it, okay. The format, I mean, the layout is identical that you see here. We're going to experiment with some new graphics and a few other things for next year's issue. But the information will be basically the same. The format will be a little bit different, and we think better and a little more interesting coming your way through the year. The other part is, if you're not getting the newsletter now, if you let me know that, we'll do our best to track it and see if there's a problem in the system or if we've got the information wrong. We know that a couple of folks here, no matter what we try, we can't make it happen. So in one case, the neighbor just sends a copy of their system and it's done. But so be on the lookout for this. It's going to be included with the Sun City Huntley information source. And we're going to start that next month in January. So we're going to be anxious to hear any feedback we get from that new process. Any questions? Let's wait and see what happens. Happy New Year.
Okay, I'm just gonna show you what it will look like. It will look like a message coming in from Jim, and there'll be a box as an attachment that says Sun City News letter here. And if you move your mouse over that one,
The screen goes wide.
That's what I'm sure it was out of this car. Sure enough, it goes straight up.
okay, you'll have your mouse, if you run your mouse over this thing, just the mouse without touching it, this box will pop. It'll change from that item to this item. And at that point, you don't really know what to do. You got a down arrow and a squirrely thing here, you don't know what they do. So to get this on the screen, you just click on the name of the file. Just click on it one time or twice, depending on how your computer is set. Click it, and you'll get this. And that will open up an image like this, and then you can scan it up and down with the arrow. It's not on this one, but there's a drag thing here. You can slide down to see more of the video. So it's just a PDF, and you can also go back to the other format, and you can run your mouse around the top of it, and you'll see a box where it'll have maybe plus and minus, and you can use that for width. That'll make it blow it up. And you'll get this picture full screen all the way across if you try it. So just play with it and report next month. Thank you.
So the first release and use of that will be January. Next thing, again, it's a reiteration of those of you that use Apple products. If you could make sure you updated your current information in our database at the Computer Club so that we can properly enter you in the Apple address book. And we will do the same for the PhotoSig group as well. So just drop in and see one of our monitors and we can go from there. Okay. If you're not receiving the newsletter, as Jim mentioned, it's probably one of three things. Either you've changed your email address or somehow it's been corrupted. We found a couple of times where when you got the new name tags and pictures taken, they did not enter your information correctly, and therefore your email address wasn't spelled exactly as your server expected it to, so that's a problem. We also have a history of around 2 to 3% loss through the system, ourselves to constant contact out to our membership. And the third thing is that the email address, the CAM email address, and the constant contact are the three biggest sources of failure, although we have had a fairly consistent pattern of those using Yahoo having more difficulty than some of the other email addresses. Again, this is a reiteration of the fact that our January meeting will be on the 13th and the lab will be closed. And now with the gifting season upon us, if a new computer were to show up under your tree or at home during this holiday season, we can assist in moving your information and data from your old computer to your new computer. Further, we will, at your instruction, clean up your old hard drive and all the material that personal information that you guard pretty carefully would be removed so that you're not compromised. And then lastly, we can help you recycle your computer if you so choose. And if you need guidance on trying to select a computer for that unknown gift that shows up under the tree, come in and discuss that with one of our Sage techs. And we promise to keep the secret until January. After that, all bets are off. As to Computer Club matters, I mentioned earlier that Ralph is not here today, but we do want to thank him for a very successful scheduling of classes throughout 2017, and he will next month bring you up to date on what he plans for 18. And I would hope by that time he has a couple of classes for January to help you come out of the cold and into the warm of the Computer Club. The association matters. There's a board meeting coming up next week, December 6th, and there will be a workshop meeting at 9 a.m. and a board meeting that starts at 1 p.m. All told, they will essentially convene the meeting at 9 and it runs all the way through. I've been told they don't even get lunch. The board doesn't. Also, I wanted to remind you about a free concert on December 13th, but you do have to get tickets, and it's here in Drudler Ballroom on the 13th. And Lifestyle Magazine has all the announcements for the hours during the holiday season. Next, I'd like to bring your attention to a concert by the Prairie Singers. Even though winter comes on the 21st, their winter concert begins on the 9th. And the concert is held over at Huntley High in their in their theater, and the concert is not sold out to date. Two other things. One, I don't know whether Linda is here today, but Linda is stepping down from the board, as you're probably aware, through the last election. And on December 1st, she was elected to be chair or president of the President's Council. She's representing the theater group on that body, but she will now be the leader of that body going forward, and we want to thank Linda for her service. The last thing as far as announcements is the Civics Club on February 22nd is having a meeting, and they are sponsoring the new Huntley Fire Chief, which I wasn't even aware we had a new Huntley Fire Chief until about 60 days ago. But his presentation will be to discuss the new firehouse equipment and personnel. And I would hope you would bring your questions and concerns about this large expenditure, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent for the short term and the long term. And lastly, I want you to have a happy holiday. I want to thank all of the volunteers, whether they are serving our baked goods, preparing the coffee, or greeting you in the lab, or working on your computer. It takes a lot of volunteers to help us through all of these challenging times. And remember, we live in the land of snow, ice, and wind. Therefore, be careful. And now to the fun part of the day. We'll ask Jeff Stites to come in and give us an education on how to take portraits and group pictures. All of you will be doing that through the holiday season, so pay attention. Jeff?
December, obviously, of all the times of the year, this one's all about family and friends, and we celebrate that time by taking pictures. Unfortunately, quite often, as we look at those pictures, it seems like everybody's a year older, except us, of course, but they don't look any better or different from last year's pictures. So what we want to try and do is just look at some things that you can do. Not all together, but just individual things. Alert you to some stuff that's available that you can use. Try and do something different this year to improve those pictures that you take during the holidays. We are not talking about any specific camera. The presentation is generic to camera. So whether you're shooting with a full frame. Let this thing out of the yeah, whether you're shooting with a full frame camera or all the way down to a cell phone camera, what we're looking at is available on every one of these cameras, so it doesn't matter what you're using. Portrait photography, group photography, one of the most common. Now, formal portraits, that's not on the agenda. What we're looking at is we're not looking at formal portraits. What we're looking at is we're looking at candid shots that you're going to take. We're looking at shooting expressions and casual group situations. What I've done is I've tried to break it down into three areas, what I call get ready, get set, and go. Get ready is about preparation. Get set is about the environment you're shooting in. Bulk of it will be indoors. And then the first half of the go is the actual taking the photography, the photographs, and the second half of it then is picking ones that you want. Okay, this thing's sensitive. Okay, so preparation and basics. My grandmother always told me, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So charge up the battery to your camera, make sure it's charged, and take that SD card, save it out to your computer, and put it in nice and clean and empty so that you're not in the middle of something. All of a sudden your grandkid does something spectacular and your SD card is full and you can't take the picture. So get ready for that. Clean your lens. This is a interesting device called a lens pin. They're easily available across Amazon or whatever, about $7, $8. It has a tip on it, far-end tip, has a carbon material on it that is designed to clean fingerprints off of lenses. In fact, a lot of professionals today are only using that as their cleaning device. It's got a little brush on the back end, and all you do is take that thing, put it on your lens, and just kind of circle, starting in the middle, and concentric circles right on out to the edge of the lens, and any residual oil that's on there or fingerprints takes it away. It's a quick and easy way to clean the lens. Otherwise, a microfiber or a little residual oil remover will work as well. Because we're talking about a variety of cameras, some of them will have both a optical and digital zoom. I just want to caution you about that. In an optical zoom, as you're zooming in on your image, the lens is changing and the quality of the image is not degrading in any way. You're simply getting closer with the same quality you had before. When you move into a digital zoom, what happens is, what the camera does, it's like cropping. It will take the image and it'll focus in on a center part of it, throw away the outside, and then it will blow up that center part, expand it to the previous size. And the process of doing that, you're going to lose some quality and resolution. Now, a lot of the cameras have only optical zoom. Many of them have both digital and optical, and that's what you want to be careful of. If yours has both, you'll have a guide that will show you when you get, see, here we are, this line shows where I am on the optical zoom. The minute I can move into the digital, it changes color and it shows. Now, your camera may be different, but you want to be sensitive to when that happens, because all of a sudden you're changing from that lens changing operation to a kind of a cropping operation. Caution, word of caution, if you are a smartphone or cell phone photographer, that does not have optical zoom. It's all digital. So you simply want to be careful with that. In fact, a lot of the rules about that is if you need to zoom in, see if you can get physically closer rather than just zooming in. Typically with the cell phone cameras, there's not going to be a problem if all you're doing is posting to Facebook or sending to somebody else. It's when you maybe send it off to a publisher for a photo book and you got a larger image and all of a sudden it comes out pretty grainy because you zoomed way in. So just something to be careful about. All these cameras have what's called scenes mode. I just want to run through that. This is your tool to improve your photography. This is the tool that lets the camera do the work for you. Do you know what scenes you have? You know, portrait, landscape, child scenes, sports scenes. You might access them through a dial like this. You might access them off a menu like this or on a phone like that. But those are things you need to look at, and these are tools that you need to use. They will really improve your images. Auto mode is not bad. It's gotten a lot of bad press in the past, but with the advent of the improvement of calendars, the automatic mode, it picks the scene, it picks what it does, it picks the shutter speed and all that type of stuff. I keep the camera in auto mode when I don't know what I'm going to encounter. You know, if I'm looking around and shooting a variety of different things, that's a good place to be. One of the things they'll always do is they turn the flash off in auto mode. In auto mode, you can turn the flash off because more times than not, you don't want the flash. I'll put it on if I want it, but my walking around mode is the auto mode with the flash turned off. Here's the mode that I use when I'm shooting in the house. Indoor scene, again, not going to worry about what the camera does, just understand what the camera's going to do is it's going to adjust its settings to optimize that situation. So if you've got an indoor party scene, shooting that at the Christmas table, perfect scene to use. If you're going to shoot the grandkids just individually, there's a portrait mode. What that's going to do is it's going to focus on the face. It's going to blur the background a little bit so it's not as distracting. Again, what you're doing is you're letting the camera do the work for you simply by picking a mode that fits what you're doing. Child scene mode, if you have that, that's pretty cool because one of the things that happens when you're shooting the kids, the grandkids, or the kids around the Christmas tree opening gifts, they tend to move. And what this is going to do is it's going to speed it up a little bit so that you don't get a blur when that happens. And if you don't have a child mode on your camera, then simply move to a sports mode. All cameras have a sports mode. It does the same thing. Now you're gonna find that this mode is gonna give you better color. You're gonna pick up the brightness of the kid's clothing and that type of thing. Museum scene, if the room is darker and you don't want to bring in a lot of light, it keeps the flash off. Again, it helps you shoot in a darker environment, especially if you're shooting at, you know, maybe a Christmas pageant or a Christmas play where they don't want you to have the flash on. Night portrait scene. This is kind of neat. This does use the flash. What it does is the camera first takes the image, and without the flash, the flash is delayed on the night scene. So you get the background, and then the flash just kind of fills in on the individual so the person seems sharp. So if you're going to shoot something in the dark or outside, it's not a bad mode to consider. My favorite, candle. If you don't do anything else, take a picture of your kids with a candle. Use the candlelight mode. Lighting, the environment. One of the problems with the point-and-shoot cameras is where the flash is in relationship to the lens. The flash is right by the lens, and it shoots right straight out from the lens, and more times than not, it's an LED, it's powerful, and it washes out the image. You'll find that in most situations, if you're using the scenes mode, the proper scene for the situation, if you're in the party mode or if you're in the portrait mode, the camera will take care of that and you won't have a problem with it. Either it'll turn the flash off or you won't need to use it. If you're going to use it, you might want to consider diffusing the flash. And so you say, well, how do I do that? So here's an image. Now, not a bad image, but obviously the picture of the lady on the left kind of washed out. And on the right-hand side, the flash was diffused. So we say, how do we diffuse a flash? Quite simple. You can take a little piece of tissue paper over that flash, and that will diffuse it. If it's really strong, you can actually put a piece, and yeah, they make white electrical tape over it, and that will diffuse it. If you have one of the cameras that has the little pop-up flash, the quickest and easiest way is to take a white ping pong ball, cut a hole in it, and stick it on that flash, and that will give you a nice diffusion. On the higher end cameras, the flash units are separate and you're able to direct them to bounce off the ceiling or put a diffuser in front of them. The point and shoot cameras don't have that feature, so we have to find some other way to diffuse or cut back the intensity of that flash. Light sources, consider your light sources. We have natural light sources, coming from the outside or from the window, and we have artificial light sources, what could be just lamps in the house and candles. The key here is to try to not mix light sources. If you've got good light coming in from outside, don't turn all the lamps on inside because you're going to confuse the camera. Which light is it going to want to use? Okay. The best $1.87 you can spend, and that includes tax. Wally Mart. They got a bunch of them. The gal on the left was just taken with natural lighting. On the right, we use this. And all we asked her to do was to stand there and hold this piece of board here so the light hit it and bounced back on her face. So I've got a reflector. Yeah, you can buy them if you want to. You can go on Amazon and you can buy this. But like I said, you can go to Walmart and for $1.87, you can have a nice reflector that works really well. Somebody else can hold it. In many cases, the person you're photographing can hold it. Now you can see the difference in quality between the two images just with a simple piece of whiteboard. This was taken at a window. Now note, the arrows show the shadow area. All we did was took a piece of whiteboard, hold it up to get a little reflection back on that, and you get the bottom, which sharpens up all those areas. Window light is great. The problem with window light is it's coming one way, and sometimes it's going to leave part of the image darker. It may give you a really nice effect if you like it. Problem?
Yeah, I just had a question, and then the reflection on where were you holding the white? Okay.
Just like that. So this will bounce it back. And what it's doing is it's not mixing a light source. You don't need the flash. You've got the light you need. It brightens up the whole area. So like I said, Think about a reflector. Natural lighting. Natural lighting is your best. It's going to give you your best color. It's going to give you your best image. It's soft. If at all possible, that's what you want to shoot with using natural light. Window lighting is great. Like I said, if you want it to look like we saw before, you use a reflector. But if you don't use a reflector, try some non-reflector window lights so you get some unique effects. Even if you have a Venetian blind, you can get a lot of interesting shots off a window. And what it's going to give you is it's going to give you a picture that you're going to look at and say, whoa, that's different. That's something I didn't have last year. Artificial lighting, simply lighting in the room. If you don't have enough, turn on another lamp. Watch where you're positioning the person. The one concern you have to pay attention to with artificial lighting, and we've all probably done it, is you got a picture of Uncle Fred and there's a lamp behind his head. It looks like he's got a horn sticking out. Or all of a sudden you look at him and he's like a funny ear. Well, it's not an ear, it's a light switch plate behind his ear. So you have to pay close attention to where you're positioning these people in respect to the shots. One of my favorites is the upper right one. Young lady, and the light for the shot was coming from her cell phone. Makes an interesting picture. Candle lighting, if you haven't tried it, put your camera in candle mode and do it. You get dramatic pictures. These are just, I find these to be incredible. I always try to get candle pictures of the grandkids. It just makes a really special gift. And it's always the picture that the parents want. Oh, can I have a copy of that? Okay, backgrounds. Foreground and background. If I shoot this shot, obviously Christmas morning, they've opened up everything, it's kind of junky, and if I shoot this, I've got kind of a jumped up shot. What I want to do with this situation is I want to back up and zoom in. Two reasons. I don't want to just get close to the kid. What I want to do is I want to zoom my camera to the best zoom it'll do and back up until I've got the image there. And the reason I want to back up is because that backing away from it and zooming in, what that's going to do for me is that's going to blur out a lot of the stuff in there that would be a distraction. The lights get a little softer, get a little blurry. And why do we want to blur out that background? Because it becomes a distraction. Your focal point, my focal point is her and the tree. Okay? So don't hesitate. Rather than just walk up close, back up and zoom in on the person. Watch kids' heads. Okay? You don't want a line through it. So you put a kid on a sofa, and lo and behold, they're short enough that the back of the wall and the line goes right through their head. All you're going to need to do is simply move up a little, shoot a little bit above it, but get that line out. Same way here we got out in the garden. You've got a line going through their head. Background fixes. Again, remember, the background is not our focus. Our focus is the person we're shooting. So in the case of the upper level, the young lady, I don't need the house, I need her. Now, one way to get her to focus in on her is have her sit down. And she's standing up. I'm going to either have to eliminate some of her, or I'm going to have to, take more picture of the house than I want to. Get her to sit down. And then even get in closer, back up again, and zoom in. And you can see there's the difference between getting close to her in the middle shot and the right shot was where we backed up and then zoomed in on her, blur out the background, and we get just her. Same way with shooting in the house. Pay attention, In many cases, it's just a matter of repositioning the person, saying, oh, I don't want that window in it, I don't want that lamp in it, I don't want that light switch in it. Just reposition. Take your time and pay attention to what you've got. We don't want, what happened there? We don't want the piano in the background. So it's just a matter of moving. Too often, we're in a hurry, we take the shot, and we don't look at it till later, and all of a sudden we've got stuff we don't want. Move around. This one was taken like 30 seconds after that one when that guy had moved out of the picture. Now, there's nothing terribly bad about this, except there's just too much stuff in there, so zoom in on it. Okay, you can handle the backgrounds by moving, repositioning, watching what you're doing, or in many cases, just zooming in on the image. If you're going to shoot the kid in front of the Christmas tree, the classic mistake is we get them too close to the tree. Put them at least, 2.5 foot out in front of the tree. The closer you get to the tree, the more distraction you're going to get from that tree. So once again, we move the teddy bear out a little bit, backed up, zoomed in. That becomes the word of the day, back up and zoom in when you're shooting those. All right, so now on to the basics. 4 tips. We're going to shoot moments. We're not going to shoot poses. Get close, fill the frame, and number 4 is probably the most important. Put the camera down and join the party. You can pick it up again later and do some stuff, but don't ever forget about number 4. You don't want to spend the whole day just running around with your camera. All right, this image represents the most common mistake made in shooting a portrait. Too much headroom. You don't want to chop the head, but you want the head close to the top. Back it up a minute. Okay. Don't amputate fingers. It's okay if you take a whole body part out, but if I've got half her fingers in there, I don't want that. So I'm going to move out and get those fingers in. Better yet, maybe I'm going to have her change position and try and open up the shot rather than just be constricted. Rather than just somebody sitting there like that, get them to open up, lean back a little bit, slouch a little bit. Give me something that and they'll do it. Watch your angle. Okay, shot a little bit too far up, and it might be a nice picture, but she's going to be embarrassed with it, and you don't want that to happen. Also, in terms of positioning, it's easy to get if you're not watching real harsh shadows that will screw it up. So again, that's just a matter of positioning, taking a look at what you're doing and shooting around. Glasses, heads, noses, and chins. You can get a reflection off glasses, especially if you're in a situation where you have to use a flash, but you can get reflections off glasses. This is an easy problem to solve. You simply ask the person to take their glasses, like here, and just tip them up just a little bit. Just bring the bows of them up a little bit. Not enough that you really notice, but it brings the lens down just a little bit. And in most cases, that will eliminate that glare on that. With the head, there's only so much you're gonna do there, but again, try different positions. You're probably gonna get a little reflection back on it and move around. With noses, all right, you can make a nose look bad. What you want to do with the nose is you want the person to turn their head so that the nose lays on the cheek, not out into the frame. So just a matter, of how can I lessen the impact of that. Because if that lady sees that picture, she's going to say, oh God, all you got is my nose sticking out there. If you have her change or move her head just a little bit so it lays on the cheek, it's good. Double chins, well, what was it? My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Cringe my neck or hope. It's a matter, there's 2 things you can do to lessen that. One is ask the person to lift their head just a little bit. Not a lot, but lift it a little bit, and then try to shoot. Just a little bit of elevation. Now, again, neither one's a lot. You won't completely wipe out the double chin, but you will lessen it substantially. And they're going to be a lot happier with the picture. And why do you care about that? Because you can have that picture that you're going to be saying, oh God, don't show that to anybody, please. And you don't want that situation. All right, here's what it's all about. You're looking to capture excitement. These are the Christmas pictures that you're going to want to have. When you look at them, you're going to say, "Wow, I wish I'd have done that before." That's exactly what this event is about. That's what I want to capture. And it's not just Christmas, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary or any other celebration. You're looking for that. And in all these modes, I'm shooting in child mode or sports mode because that person's going to move, and I don't want a blurry picture. And that's going to cause the camera to make the adjustment rather than me. I don't have to worry about it. I've got the mode set to get that motion and not have to screw up the picture. So I just focus on the action and take the action. Rule of thirds. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about composition. Not much, but a little bit. Think of a grid, think of a tic-tac-toe grid. What I want to do is I want to try to get the person on one of these areas, where that is. Doesn't have to be right on it, but over to it. Better than dead center in the middle. The old bland basic picture, everybody's dead center in the middle. Look at trying to move over to the side a little bit. And if you've got an image, if you have an image where that person is dead center, remember, we've got software up in the lab that people can show you how to crop it, so you can actually crop it a little bit and move it, reposition it. Leading lines. Look at things that will lead you up to, here's the person I want you to see. Look at the stuff that will lead it up. So basically what a leading line does is it's some aspect of the environment that causes the eye to move to where you want the focal point to be. The focus is the eyes in a portrait. Always is the eyes in the portrait, and this is what we call the catch light. If you see that little white dot in the eye, all right, that's called a catch light, and the person, when you look at that photo, what you're going to see is you're going to see the eyes, and that's where you want the focus to be. Holiday preparation, okay? Even if the tree is already up, get over to your kid's house and bring a couple ornaments with you and give them to the grandkids and say, I want you to put these ornaments on the tree, and then shoot them doing that, or have them light the candles. Holiday preparation, make great shots, great memories. Hats. Man, nothing better. And you know, when I bought my $1.87 reflector from Wally Mart, I also bought my 98-cent hat. In fact, I bought 5 of them because there are 5 grandkids and they're all going to have hats in the photos. We should talk a little bit about children. That's a unique subject to photograph. Don't tell them to smile. That's what you're going to get. Never fails. Never fails. Try to get them not looking. Try to get them doing something. Number 5 is always the challenge, right? Toddlers, get down to their level. And I know at our tender age, I can get down, but getting back up sometimes is an issue. I'll tell you what I have discovered solves that problem for me. It's called a folding chair. When they're low in that, I simply set up the folding chair and I sit in the chair and shoot from there. And that brings me down and I can get back up and keep moving rather than have to say, hey, help me get on the floor. You're looking for a surprise. You can't, one of my favorite shots is this guy right here. You can't see his face, but look what he's doing. You know, sitting back and he just caught up in that book. Yeah, and they're goofing off. This, you know, you say, why would I take that? You show that to the kid's parents, they can say, oh my God, yep, that's him. That's my boy. You know, you're going to take stuff that, you know, shoot, you got to shoot on. And don't overlook black and white. Now, rule of thumb. Your camera probably has a black and white mode on it. Forget about it. Don't use it. If you want the image in black and white, that's where you come up to the lab and use any of the software, whether it's Google Photos or whether it's Elements or ON1 or whatever we have in the lab, and you change the color photograph to black and white. It's going to be probably, you know, at least 50% better than if you shot it in black and white mode in the camera. The camera just does not do a good job of that. Shoot low, shoot high. Remember the chair. Now, another way to shoot low is if I've got a child at the table, all I have to do, and I don't need my chair for that, all I have to do is make sure I'm just shooting from the table up. And it appears that I'm shooting low. Low doesn't necessarily mean all the way down to the ground, it simply means to a certain set point. So set them at a table, you know. Shooting high is fun too. Don't, you know, you don't have to do anything about it. You just kind of come over and say, yeah, and shoot down on it. You know, if you don't try these things, you won't wind up with stuff. If it's a matter of saying, I don't think that's going to work, well, who knows? Give it a shot. I mean, that's the beauty of digital cameras. You got a big SD card in there. You can go to that Christmas event and you shoot 200 pictures and your car's not even half full. Why not? Catch them not looking. These are some of the best shots where the kid, you know, when you say, well, I'm gonna take your photo, but probably not for another 5 to 6 minutes, so just kind of hang out for a while and catch them doing whatever they're doing while they're waiting for you to take that shot. You may wind up things where you don't need to take the shot because you got everything you wanted as you were photographing. And then again, your zoom lens, you're not right on top of them. You're back, you zoom in, they don't even know what you're doing. Group basics. Okay, the right perspective. Groups are all about perspective. I brought my other prop with me. Where to put it? Shoot down. The nice thing about that is everybody's got to look up, all the double chins go away. And remember, with a group shot,